very much. Friends, fellow residents of Moulmein Kallang GRC, I know it's a bit late, but bear with us. But allow me to say a few words in Malay before I move on to my English speech. Kepada penduduk-penduduk Moulmein Kallang GRC dan semua pengundi di Singapura, ini adalah pilihan raya yang paling penting bagi masa depan Singapura. Kita tahu bahawa pada hari ini kita tak ada pemerintah. Datang 7 Mei, apabila kita buang undi, kita harus menentukan bahawa parti yang sebaiknya, yang boleh menentukan, yang boleh menjamin masa depan kita dipilih untuk kebaikan kita dan juga generasi-generasi yang akan datang. Perdana Menteri telah mengatakan bahawa pilihan raya ini ialah pilihan raya yang akan menentukan corak kepimpinan Singapura di masa-masa yang akan datang. Dan kita tahu bahawa dalam politics, masa diperlukan bagi kita untuk memupuk kepimpinan yang sebaik mungkin, oleh kerana kita akan menghadapi lebih banyak cabaran. Jadi saya harap apabila kita membuang undi pada 7 Mei, kita buat undi yang paling baik, bukan hanya untuk hari ini, bukan apa yang telah dilakukan 50 tahun yang lalu, tapi bagi 50 tahun yang akan datang. Oleh kerana kita ada satu negara yang kecil, yang tak ada sumber, tetapi ada bakat, ada kepimpinan yang baik, yang cekap, yang telah pun membawa Singapura ke tahap yang kita tidak impikan dalam tahun 1965. Tapi kalau kita ingin maju ke hadapan untuk menjadi satu negara yang lebih baik, bukan hanya untuk kita tapi untuk generasi-generasi yang akan datang, kita harus pilih pasukan yang akan membawa kepimpinan yang paling cekap. Jadi ini bukan hanya soal bagi masyarakat Islam, tapi ini soalan bagi semua rakyat di Singapura. Ini bukan pilihan raya di Moulmein Kallang sahaja, tapi ini pilihan raya di seluruh Singapura. Di Ang Mo Kio, di Tampines, di Choa Chu Kang, di Aljunied, di Punggol, Pasir Ris Punggol dan sebagainya. Jadi saya harap apabila kita membuat undi, tanyakan adakah undi kita ada yang paling baik untuk masa depan Singapura. Dengan itu saya harap anda beri sokong bukan hanya pada pasukan di Moulmein Kallang, tapi pasukan PAP di mana-mana yang kita sedang bertanding. Oleh kerana kalaulah pasukan PAP tidak dikembalikan sebagai pemerintah, saya rasa masa depan Singapura akan terjejas. Jadi marilah kita fikir bersama-sama, mengambil masa untuk menilai manifesto yang telah dibentangkan bagi kita untuk menentukan bahawa janji yang mana satu yang kita percaya boleh dijalankan. Dan kalau kita renung kembali track record yang telah dijalankan oleh pihak PAP, kita tahu bahawa kita ialah satu parti yang boleh memenuhi janji-janji yang kita telah tetapkan. Jadi dengan itu saya harap kita sama-sama bekerjasama untuk menentukan bahawa pada 7 Mei parti PAP dikembalikan sebagai pemerintah dengan sebanyak mungkin seat di parlimen untuk kita menjadi satu pemerintah yang kukuh, yang kuat, yang bersepadu demi untuk masa depan Singapura. Terima kasih. Thank you, friends, fellow citizens. You all know of us. Minister Liu needs no introduction. Denise, I'll say a few things about her later. Edwin and myself, we are, as you know, the PAP team for Moulmein Kallang. We did not appear on nomination day. We appeared long before that. We were not a mystery team. You have seen us. Minister Liu, as you know, served in Singapore as our Navy Chief for many years before he answered the call to serve as a Member of Parliament. And he has been doing so as the sitting MP in Moulmein for the last 5 years. And as Minister for Information, Communications and the Arts, he has ensured that we are well informed as a nation, wire up the whole country, give us good arts and cultural programs. The network that you will have in your house, the open net, which I'm also trying to get into my house, will ensure that we have access to the best possible internet connection and services that's available across Singapore. And this we have to thank Minister Liu. Denise, as you know, has been looking after Kampung Kallang with passion, with commitment. And as she told you in her speech, she's the founder of Pathlight School, which is helping a lot of kids with special needs. But I have to tell you a little story about Denise, with Dr. Lee's permission. 5 years ago, when we were facing another election, we wanted to find a replacement because Mr. Loh Meng Si wanted to step down. And so Dr. Lee asked me, between two of these, whom would you select to be the MP for Jalan Besar GRC? I say without a doubt, Denise Puah Leping is my choice. I have not regretted since. I hope I don't have to regret later, Denise. But she's been great. She's your town council chairman. She will continue in that role if you elect us to make sure that whatever that we have done in the last 5 years in Jalan Besar GRC, we'll do exactly in Moulmein Kallang and even better. Edwin is our new man, but he's not so new actually. He's been helping Dr. Lee in Jalan Besar for many years. I've walked with him at the block visits, in fact not far away from this place. He's a very good lawyer, I know, so if I need legal services, I know who to turn to. But more importantly, watching him, walking with him, he's very keen to serve people. And by the way, he not only understudied Dr. Lee, but he understudied Mr. Shanmugam and Mr. Taman. So he's very well prepared. So we are putting a team that you know quite well. And more importantly, a team that has delivered what we promised. Now Denise spoke about our achievements. Let me show you the last newsletter of Jalan Besar GRC. This is something that you must keep, because this is a record of what we did for the last 5 years. And Denise told me another story. I hope she doesn't mind if I tell the story. When her better half saw this, she says, you have done a lot. And I know Denise better half is an objective person. So this is a record, a track record of what we have done for 5 years. So we have not been around for the last 3 days. We've been around for the last 5 years. And with your trust and support, we are now coming again in order to serve you for the next 5 years. So let me first thank you for the support that you give to the Jalan Besar GRC team during the last election. Because of your support, we put together many programs. And if you look back at your estate for the last 5 years, many things have changed. More facilities, more programs to help the poor and the needy, the low-income families. We have upgraded most of our blocks in terms of lift upgrading. We've upgraded the common areas. We have new playgrounds. We have put more facilities for our senior citizens. We also have the ABC Waters project. One in Kolamai, one coming out in Rocho. So we have done everything possible to beautify this estate. So we need you to give us that mandate again for us to continue to do that work. Now this afternoon, as usual, this is part of the campaign. I had a block visit in Kolamai. And so my colleagues and I, as usual, we take the lift to the top floor, we gather ourselves and start walking. But before we wanted to start walking at the top floor, we saw a view that all of a sudden we decided to stop and spend a few minutes looking at it. From the top of this flat in Kolamai, we could see the city skyline, the new condominiums, the new flats that look very much like private condominiums. But there's one thing that caught our eye, and that is the Kallang River, not far from here. This Kallang River meanders through our constituency. In the past, as Mr. Pang has mentioned, this place was smelly. There were atap houses, the river was polluted. But now see how it has transformed the constituency. The view that we saw from the top of Block 65, Kallang Baru, is not natural. It came because of a commitment by our government who wants to clean up the river, dam it up, and transform it into one of your reservoirs. You know how long it took? It took 10 years, 2 elections for us to clean up the Kallang River. Had this government been frightened about wanting to relocate people, relocate industries, tighten pollution standards, we wouldn't have done it. But no, we decided to do it because as a government, we take the long view of things. We are not short-sighted. We are not interested in short-term gains. We want to look at results over a longer period, because we know whatever that we do it for the sake of Singapore, and whatever that we do will take time. So remember what Mr. Pang said just now in Chinese. I didn't understand a word, but when he mentioned atap houses, I knew what he was talking about, because he is a resident of Moulmein Kallang GRC, and he knows how it has been transformed. And so when you see a party that says securing our future together, do you think we mean it, or is just an empty slogan? You sure? Because this promise of a better future is not anchored on slogans like some other party. It is anchored on experiences that we have gained in governing this nation for the last 50 years. So the example of the rejuvenation and the revitalization of the Kallang River is a testimony to our commitment, our party's commitment in improving the living conditions of Singapore despite the initial difficulties that we faced. Why do I know this story? Because it was done by the Ministry of Environment, my ministry. And the people responsible for it is still around. And they told me how difficult it was, but we did it. And so when we say something, we mean it. And when the PM says we are tackling the cost of living issue, do we trust him? Yes! Because we are a party, we mean what we say. And we are putting in programs. We know it's difficult. Denise has spoken about the constituents of Moulmein Kallang GRC. We have many low-income families. During our walkabouts, we come across people with financial difficulties. But for the last 5 years, together with government programs, we have put in place many financial assistance programs and packages. More importantly, upgrading their skills so that they can be gainfully employed. And so we have not been sitting still. We've been doing things to help Singaporeans face the challenges of a cost of living scenario. And of course, the growth and share package. All of you have received the letter from the Minister of Finance, right? Yes. I have received my money also. I have received my letter. I have not received the money yet. Sorry. But the point is, the government is trying to help. It's not easy because there are some things which we can't control. Can we control oil prices? We can't, because it's determined by global forces. And so what we can do is to help Singaporeans to at least mitigate the impact of rising costs that we see here in Singapore. Now the young man earlier, the young Malay man, sorry, he's basically 22, 23, a student of SMU, right? Grew up in Kolam Air, 3-room flat, now living in a 5-room flat with his parents. He spoke about how Singapore has transformed. He's passionate about it. He's here tonight not because I force him, but he wants to be a part of the change that will happen in Singapore, because he has seen how the lives of his parents and grandparents have changed. And so let us not be seduced by fancy catchphrases and empty promises. We are a party of substance, not a party of catchy phrases. We have arrived today because we have remained committed to improving the lives of all Singaporeans. And so you hear a party that's come to our GRC, which only appeared on 27 April, by the way. Before that, they were missing. We do not know who they were. But they want to be a co-driver. But they've been missing. So how can you be a co-driver if you're missing, right? So it's difficult for us to take these people seriously because they have not been around for the last 5 years to work the ground here and deliver services. They pop out all of a sudden, like the story Minister Liu has mentioned, as mushrooms. And I'm confident they will disappear after the 7th of May. So who would you put your faith in? The person who's been driving Moulmein Kallang for the last 5 years? Without that co-driver, what with another co-driver? Our co-driver are our residents, people whom we work together with. You see, they don't understand. We are facing great uncertainties. There is a term that Minister Lim Swee Say likes to use. It's called FUD. They call the FUD factor, FUD. F for fear, U for uncertainty, D for doubt. That's the future, because there's a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt, given what is happening globally. In the Middle East, in Japan, the financial crisis that America is still going through is going to affect us. And so we need a team. And the team that we need, imagine, is like the F1 race that we have in Singapore. Do you think Lewis Hamilton is the only driver? He is, but he is supported by a team, a very experienced team. And Lewis Hamilton himself, as an F1 driver, must be experienced. Because without the kind of skills, the instincts, you cannot drive that car. Without the support of the team behind you, you cannot drive the entire race and win. This is an F1 race. We need a team that can support the driver. We need a Prime Minister like Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, supported by a cabinet, supported by a group of MPs that work together in cohort with the entire population of Singapore to drive this country towards the future. And the Prime Minister is keen to find the next team. It'll take us 10, maybe 20 years, but he doesn't have a very long time. As he says, by 2020, a new team must be in place. In 10 years, I'll be past 60. In 10 years, Tak Yu just about to approach 60. Denise will still be young by that time, so she'll be around. So we need to build that team of a Prime Minister supported by a strong cabinet behind to make sure that we can work together. So this is not about a co-driver who sometimes can fall asleep and disappears for 5 years. This is about a team that can bring Singapore to the future. So let's work together. Let's put the PAP back in government on the 8th of May. Not just about Moulmein Kallang, as I said earlier, about the rest of Singapore, because we want to have a resounding success to show not only to Singapore but to the rest of the world, we know what we are talking about, because this is about the future of Singapore. So please tell your friends, tell your colleagues who are not here tonight that we want their support, we want their vote for the team in Moulmein Kallang to allow us to continue to do the work that we've been doing for the last 5 years, but for the team that the Prime Minister has assembled to put together a team that will bring Singapore into an uncertain future, but with a safe pair of hands on the wheel, supported by a strong and dedicated, committed team to bring us into a bright future. That is our vision. That is the vision that we have outlined, and that is the vision that I hope that all of you agree is not only important, but it can be realized only if you give us the support on the 7th of May. So let's work together to bring the PAP back into power on the 7th of May for the sake of Singapore. Majulah PAP!